Let me start by saying that the topic of this video is very dangerous. And if my words are misconstrued, then it will present danger to myself, my family, my future, and to many people who I call my loved ones. This is a very dangerous topic. And I'm very scared to even put this out there because anyone can take my words and spin it and misconstrue it and put it out there in a narrative. But I feel like I have to speak on this topic because I noticed something very dangerous is happening, and I feel like if no one speaks upon it, then the consequences is just, just crazy. Um, um, Today's date, I think, is November 4th, 2025 for a timestamp, and just say that I believe this is the beginning of what's going on, right? This not a BS video, it's a true video. This is, to me, the era of narrative spin. And I feel like a lot of narratives are being spun to fit somebody's agenda, no matter how disgusting or how low they would go to fit their agenda, how low they would go to spin the narrative to fit their agenda. And this narrative is so low and disgusting. Like, you know what I mean? And, if I try to speak about it, I know that the people out there that's doing this thing will probably try to spin it back, right? And let me first by saying I am not involved in any of this in any way, but the topic I'm speaking on. The topic of this video is, I believe, westernized women are trying to rebrand the trafficking label to fit an agenda, right? And let me explain if you do not know, right? When I mean rebrand, right? If you don't know, it's a pattern. Just use the Me Too movement, right? I remember when the Me Too movement first started, when Oprah went on stage and spoke upon Me Too, and she was speaking for the young girls out there who are being abused, mostly girls of color, right? That's being abused and going through SA or rape or any form of and she was trying to speak upon it because they feel like they were being silenced. And she said, if that happened to you, speak up. #Me Too. That's when it started. Just like it, I feel like that was rebranded by, I don't want to say white women because this might become a racial video, but like a lot of privileged white women, right? Where they use it as a money grab to take down men or to be opportunistic to gain a leverage. Let's use a woman with Shannon Sharpe. If you want to say Shannon Sharpe was, if you want to spin that narrative, let's use a more direct narrative. Jonathan Majors, right? His girlfriend ran away from him, and they still use a system to take down Jonathan Majors, and we cannot watch any more Marvel film. They tried it with Morgan Freeman, when the woman said Morgan Freeman looked at her in an interview, and, because if I use any other case, they will try to spin it and say, no, this person is guilty, right? So I can't just use any and every case where it's not clear where the man is innocent. Because there's many cases out there where I believe the man is innocent, but they don't care about that. They would try to spin it. So, I could use a lot of cases. Well, a lot of these, a lot of these women will put themselves in opportunities to now take money grab. They're not true victims, and that they basically hijacked the Me Too movement for girls who were actually going through something. And these women gain millions and millions. And, if you hear the stories clearly that they were never in danger, they just use, and that's why a lot of men right now in corporate do not want to be in a room alone with a woman. So now they try to media spin the man trying to protect themselves, good men, because not saying that there's no bad man out there that did it. Good men who say, okay, I don't want to be alone with a woman because I don't want to be demonized. They try to label them as living the alternative gay lifestyle, or being misogynistic from not trying to be with a woman in a private room. That's how media spin works, right? I watched them spin the woke narrative, because back in the 90s, woke mean that you were educated about black lives, right? Black history or colored history. And now it becomes your left in political agenda. You're the part of the left, right? And I give you a good example. I have a friend. She's Native American, from Colombia, native South American, right? And she told me that when she first came here, she's I think part of the boomer generation. When she first came here, the textbook had no history of her people or any history of Native Americans, or any was degrading them, calling them savages or whatever. Black people, a lot of black history was buried. A lot of black American history was buried because they did not want to face how savage it was towards black Americans. They did not want to face the greatness of black Africans. They did not, and if it wasn't people like Marcus Garvey, we would not know a lot of inventors and stuff like that. And the knowledge and being mentally aware of what the black history is and black society is globally, what's going on in the world, just being because at that time in the 90s, 80s, not everybody was noticing what's going on in Africa. Not everybody's paying attention to what's going on, the good and bad in Africa or around the world in the black diaspora. Not until the mid 2000, 2008, 2000, like when Obama became president, around that time, where people all became knowledgeable, right? And that's what woke was. But now woke is used as a narrative for any left leaning, especially LGBTQ or stuff like that. You're woke, right? And they tried to cripple that word, right? So they rebrand that. I'm making this video because I'm seeing these videos of successful westernized women trying to rebrand the trafficking label to victimize themselves. And I'll give you a good example. There was this woman, right? And she is in a very luxurious place. She's dressed in very nice clothes. White woman, blonde, and she was talking about her ex-husband and calling him her handler, right? And she was saying that, not all trafficking look the same. And she was rebranding her life because when she showed pictures of herself, she was in exotic places. And she was saying her handler was a billionaire. And she was in just living a lifestyle that most of us dream about, right? And even now, as she divorced him and separated herself, she's still living a very fantastic lifestyle, right? But the narrative did not spin in her way. So she rebranded him as her handler, right? And she never in any picture looked like she's out of control. You know what I mean? And there's children out here that was going through this, going through trafficking. There's people out here that's going through it that's not in this scenario. So she's trying to victimize herself. And I can't get into more details. You will have to see the video for myself, or we have to break it down together, or something like that, to explain why I came to this conclusion. Because there are trafficking out here. There are bad people out here. But she's clearly not one of them. And just like when we see sometime what happened with Jonathan Majors, that woman was clearly not a victim, right? We clearly saw the whole Diddy and Cassie case, and black people, majority of us was like, Cassie was a participant. She wasn't a victim. And, what happened is a lot of traffickers are women, right? Especially white women, just like in slavery, when slavery was happening, a lot of these white women were slave owners back then. I'm being careful with my words. They're not saying all, I'm saying back then. And now we acted like, I remember Bill Burr saying, they were acting like you wasn't part of the this mafia of, this gang, this thing, this clan, or whatever they are. They're white people. White women are detaching themselves from white men, right? And I remember there's only one time I hear of a white woman trafficking that people just acknowledge, and that's the woman with Epstein. I think her name is Maxwell. I think her name is Maxwell. She's the only one they acknowledge, because I remember clearly when Allison Mack, right? If you don't know who Allison Mack is, she is one of the cast of Smallville, the TV show Smallville. She played Chloe, and Smallville is about Superman. She played Chloe, and she was a nerdy white girl. And when she was caught for trafficking and branded woman with an iron, was the same time the Bill Cosby case was going on. And I'm like, why is nobody paying attention to her? Because Bill Cosby is all based upon a woman's, because 50 women came through, but only one woman won her case. And it's all based on her statement. And her statement was shaky at best, because she came in right after the case and said that she willingly took Quaaludes. She willingly did it. She just didn't know what Quaaludes are. Right? She willingly wanted substances, and Bill Cosby presented her with substances. Go back and watch the trial, and that was the case to take down Bill Cosby. But at the same time, Allison Mack have a trafficking ring. She was part of a trafficking ring, and it got swept under the rug, and nobody spoke about it. The same way that we have people like Charlie Sheen got swept under the rug when Corey Feldman made his video speaking about his truth, because it seems like we can never acknowledge who we deem as innocent to be the villain, who we deem as the villain to be innocent. Because Corey Feldman went on deaf ears. If you really go look up Corey Feldman documentary on Charlie Sheen, right? And look how many, to give you a great example of what I'm talking about, look how many teachers were caught for SA with their students. Or, I would say the vast majority of it are women. In the last, every time you think of a teacher inappropriate with a student, it's a woman. But we still keep the man as a dangerous one in our mind. We keep the man as the equivalent to the bear in our mind. We are not trying to see women in that light, and now they can manipulate us. We call them Delilah, or what's that, Lilith. That manipulation is a tactic, and and every time we bring it up, it's quickly shut down. That when somebody's clearly lying, and every time the truth comes forward about these topics, we suppress it or act like it don't exist. A good example is, look how they brand Andrew Tate as a trafficker. They brand him as a trafficker, right? And it was worldwide news It was every media outlet was trying to take down this man as a trafficker in many countries for the country he's in right now. I can't remember the name. To England, to America, they were just saying, okay, this man is who we deem as the villain in the story. This is, yes, it is true, and many people speak upon it. And once the truth came out that the girls were lying, no media outlet posted it. You cannot find the story of the truth anywhere. Even though he came out that he was telling the truth, these girls were lying. They were paid to lie on him, and this and that, right? So back to the topic. I personally believe that this narrative spin is there to counter the passport bro movement. I believe in 2025 November, especially when WIC is a time where the economy is in crisis and all government assistance are now being taken back because of Trump. I believe this narrative is a new tactic because just life is just hard, and everyone wants to live an Instagram lifestyle. You know, I gotta be very careful with the words, right? I'm noticing that these women can push a narrative that these men are traffickers, and you know what I mean, or push and demonize men for buying sex, right? Let's talk about it. But no one wants to acknowledge that these girls are out here selling their bodies willingly and, you know what I mean, knowingly. Because the moment a woman is caught, like Cassie in the Diddy thing, we automatically start victimizing the woman, right? We automatically try to find an angle where she's the victim, not knowing that she's a willing participant or she is adult. They always try to say, oh no, she didn't know any better. I watched so many times and say, okay, she didn't know any better and she was manipulated. Cassie was a grown woman, right? She's the best example. And to say that she was groomed into being a handler, even though she you know what I mean, it's so crazy that no one is going to speak upon it, right? And that these women out here are willingly, even as adult, selling their fronts, selling their bodies, and willingly participating in prosty, right? They want, and these women been doing it forever, especially on social media, right in front of our faces, because they were all showing the trips and the gifts they were getting and all these luxury bags and every time you turn around, they're on trips or they're flying out or they're flying me out or, you know what I mean, they're being flown out or everything, right? But the moment they post the man who is paying for it, then the handler narrative comes out. Think about it. A woman can post herself in Dubai in a luxurious pool, drinking champagne or mimosas, 12 p.m. in the afternoon, eating fruits, and waiting for a lobster dinner with next to her name brand Chanel bag and her diamonds next to her. And everyone liked the picture. Oh my gosh, she's fabulous. But the moment the guy who paid for it is in the picture, you know, most likely a middle-aged white man with a little bit of weight on him, with, you know what I mean, who made the right decisions in life, all of a sudden now it becomes a victim situation, right? When Shannon Sharpe situation went down, they automatically start painting Shannon Sharpe as this demonic person, even though Shannon Sharpe in front of our faces, in front of all our faces, never hurt or harmed anyone. They were quick to paint him as a demon. And I fear they're going to do this to many men going forward. They're going to do this to many men going forward. And, you know what I mean? And in any situation, they're going to just play the victim. We're not going to acknowledge that these girls out here are yacht babies. That, you know what I mean? While they're living the best life, this is it. But when they are when the plane is landing, coming down, they're going to do what Joy Taylor did. Let's use Joy. If you don't know what Joy Taylor's sports commentary, was caught in a scandal. And Joy Taylor was basically sleeping her way to the top of the game. She slept her way to a position, and she was trying to get her friend to get on. And her friend outed her, stating that Joy Taylor had a backup plan. Whenever the well is not flowing anymore, she's going to falsely accuse the guy that she was sleeping with for the position of SA, and there's nothing he can do about it, because they're going to find DNA samples of him in her coochie, and she has an angle on him. He have no defense himself that it was consensual. And a lot of the times, even let's use Shannon Sharpe, it was consensual. They don't care. Look at Ime Udoka. It was consensual. Ime Udoka, the coach at the Boston Celtics, had a consensual relationship with a coworker. No one cared. The woman, just like what Malika Andrews said, the woman is the victim, and we can't even speak upon her. But Ime Udoka should go down because he's a man, and demonizing it, right? The narrative spin. We need to pay attention to how they spin narratives. We have this underbelly of mostly leftist people who are weaponizing narratives, and we need to speak upon it. Now, people will see this video and take a small part of it or hear part of what I'm saying and just completely ignore the rest of it. But this is dangerous. Please pay attention. Please watch this video. Please send it out. Please like.